Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Michael with the Real 1%. Thanks for joining me today. I got a special guest, a treasure of a guest. We got my girl Treasure up in the shy. Stand up. Cubs, White Sox. How you doing today?
You said White Sox.
Yeah, Cubs, White Sox. I don't know, whoever
Yes,
you got.
Cubs
Yeah,
and White Sox. We
yeah, both
support
of them.
them.
Yeah. Shout out Blackhawks. All Bears. I don't know if you get down with the Bears too, but yeah, all Chicago teams. So but on the same thing as a thing, right? Analogy like this, we got to have the game plan to get out the military. So we're coming at you guys again, girls, with military civilian podcast. The last plan, the last assault, the last mission, to your civilian freedom or to your life after the military. We're all gonna have to face it. So if you don't mind, for everyone, you want to just introduce yourself and let everyone know a little bit about your background and what made you join the military, and touch on like when you served and when you started thinking about getting out, if you don't mind. And thank you so much for being here as well.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for welcoming me on your show as well.
Wow.
I'll share a little bit about myself. So I joined the military after high school. In high school, I was just joining a bunch of different clubs, a bunch of different sports teams and things like that. My main goal was to just be on their marketing team. I wanted to be the marketing manager for anything that I joined. If they wouldn't let me to be the marketing manager, I don't want to do it. That's how I was. And then when I joined the military, what actually provoked me to join the military, I had always wanted to be in. Like a couple of my older brothers and sisters, they've served as well, and so did my granddad. So I just kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps. And then I just kind of, pulled that trigger and I did it. I wasn't expecting to go active duty, is what I will say. I kind of made that decision a little bit last minute, but I did, and I'm happy with the decision that I made. I served about 6 years as an intelligence analyst,
Nice.
and I just yeah, thanks. And I just retired well, actually last month. I just retired last month, medically retired. So 100%.
Congratulations on that. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Don't be, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, do not be ashamed. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, good for you.
Mhm.
Good for you.
Exactly. Like I don't feel any shame in it. I feel like for me, a retirement is a retirement. I served my country. I served as well as I could. And now I'm on to a greater mission, or what I would say a slightly less equivalent mission. I'm still serving our veterans, just in a different capacity. So as of right now, I have two veteran ventures going outside of my digital and experiential marketing agency, which is Treasure Agency. Um, the ventures that I have going are Chicago for Veterans and the Black Veterpreneurs Network. So, Chicago for Veterans is a travel guide for veterans coming to and already living within the city. I'm going around, I'm highlighting the organizations, the activities, free things to do, discounts, anything along those lines. Anything that's going on with Chicago for veterans, I'm bringing that to everyone's attention. And I'm doing reels, free reels for nonprofits, because I noticed that they were having a shortcoming within their marketing capabilities. So I'm providing that for free, and of course, for profit for the for profits. And then I have the Black Veterpreneurs Network, which is an online business directory, marketplace, and community for Black veteran entrepreneurs. Because I noticed that we were pretty underserved. Every time I would go to a veteran organization event, I would notice that it was probably about like three Black veterans in a room. And then when I went to, predominantly Black events, I noticed that I would meet a whole bunch of veterans, because everywhere I go, I'm looking for the veterans. That's
Yeah,
just what I do. So, I mean, of course, you always want to meet your people. So
true.
I noticed that that was an issue, and I started asking questions, like asking different people, like, why aren't you going to the veteran events? Some people didn't know about them. Some people were bringing up like racism within the military, which I completely understand, because I face the same.
True.
Just other issues that they were facing, like sexual assault. They did not want to mess with the veteran community as a whole. I guess the answers that I received were kind of generationally. So like some people were like Vietnam veterans, and of course they had a different take on why they weren't connected within the veteran
Right.
community. Everyone had something different to say, but I just created the Black Veterpreneurs Network so that we could have a safe space where we could talk about, the things that are affecting us as veterans, but not only as veterans, but are within the Black community as well. We could be able to support each other's businesses, find well for me to find more financial opportunities for them. So like for instance, I'm doing pop-up shops. Eventually we're going to have the Black Veterans Expo speaking into existence, world
Absolutely.
tour.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the things that I'm working on as of right now, and I'm pretty proud of this new, I guess, venture, or this new chapter that I have going for myself. So yeah.
All right. Well, you just gave us everyone a quick rundown, almost like an outline of we're gonna dive in deeper to, because like you just covered so much in so little time. We definitely got a lot of questions for you. Like even to rewind it as far back as to what got you so involved in wanting to be in marketing from a young age. Like what was it? It's just that's what you just found out. That was you, or what?
Um, so I always been a hustler. I was like, I'm trying to think of like my first, I guess, business, because I used to charge people to teach them how to whistle. Like we would be in the lunchroom and I'd be like, "Oh, I'll teach you how to whistle if you pay me $10." Like I used to sell my school supplies. At one point, my mom, we used to go to Sam's Club because they had like, they got all the big stuff. They got everything in bulk. So I used to make sandwiches for people, and that was my go-to. Like I had so
Okay.
many side hustles and things like that. So I've always loved to like market and sell to people. So that's always kind of been my thing. And then I guess once I got to high school, I think it was probably when I was in a Ladies of Virtue program. We had so what they have us do, they have us doing leadership projects, right? We have to find something going on within our community and we have to find a solution for it. So I remember one of the ideas that we came up with was Barbie Me Not. So Barbie Be Not was a campaign. It was like a campaign to fight against um, social media and the effects of social media that it was having on teenagers. So, like for instance, a lot of local teenagers were killing themselves. Like, I mean, they were committing suicide.
Yeah. Right.
I was trying to find like a cute way to say that, but it's
I
no cute
gotta
way
say
to say
how it is. That's just how
it.
it is. That's how. One time I said something like that, and like someone's like, "Do you have it?" My buddy Joe interviewed me. He's like, "You have anything else to say?" And literally what I said was, "Don't kill yourself." But people are literally doing
Yeah,
that. So it's literally a matter of, yeah, it really sad.
yeah. Like, I mean, there's no easy way to say that. Can you back up? I'm sorry, my dogs. Um,
Well,
so yeah, so we noticed that issue within our community and we started a campaign around that. So basically it was, Barbie Me Not, trying to say, hey, we don't need the filters, we don't need those extra things, we don't need surgery, we need to feel comfortable within our own skin, within ourselves. And so that's what that campaign was about. And we were able to speak at what was it called, the House of Blues.
nice.
um, we got featured in a magazine, True Star magazine, and then shortly after that, I ended up doing a marketing internship with them as well. Charlie, get down, sit.
He's
I
trying to
ended
get.
up doing what was that?
He's trying to get in the video too. You gotta get him on.
Okay.
Yeah,
He knows he cute. He like all eyes on me, all eyes
yeah.
on me.
He knows.
But yeah, so we noticed that that was an issue and we tackled it. And I feel like my love for marketing came from there, because it was like, oh wow, like, we're doing something great within the community, and I just had to find like different ways to let people know about what we were doing.
Yeah,
And then I was like, I actually like this. Like I actually like, bringing people together. And I saw other ways that I was doing a similar thing. Like I started bringing together my family, even with a family reunion and things like that. So I've always just kind of loved bringing people together, loved figuring out how to make people laugh, loved figuring out just how to brighten people's days and things like that. Like I don't know. I guess I just kind of fell into it. It just fit me.
It's just you, yeah. It's just you naturally. So that's good though. I was
Yeah.
selling some candy in high school too. You get a three for $1 and sell it all for $1. You make $2 off your one. You can't go wrong.
How about them little candy bars with the
Yeah,
chocolate?
no, just no. Just go to. I do it freelance. Go to Dollar Tree. Go on my own. I'm an entrepreneur young. That's what I'm saying. You look back and it's like I was doing that. I was making lemonade and selling it in front of the YMCA. I
Yeah.
was. I even sold pizza one time at my high school, and I had to go to the principal because no one was going to lunch. No one went to lunch that day. They all bought a pizza. Got sold
Oh.
out of lunch. Go back and sell out. They don't let that happen though. The monopoly is the
Mhm.
school system ain't gonna let a kid sell pizza, skip lunch, and make money. So, but it was a good business venture. Lasted
Yeah,
all about
they
two
should
days.
know how to compete.
Lasted like 2 days. Good little run though. Good story though. You say so. Hey, that's cool though. So you did that. Then how'd you end up getting an Intel? Like, would you? Obviously, you still scored good on your ASVAB, probably, and then you could do mostly
Yeah.
anything, right? And you're like, how'd you say? All right, I'm gonna do Intel. That sounds good.
Well, my job was actually going to be a 25 year. Well, okay. Here's the thing. I always wanted to be in the Air Force specifically, okay? But the thing was, I went into the recruiter's office and the Army was there. And you know how, like, a dumb
You weren't
thing.
even gonna wait for it. You wanted all that your whole time, and you were gonna say, "Oh, the Army guy's here. I'm just gonna sign up now." Like
It wasn't that. It was like I guess peer pressure or something like that. You know how like I don't know. Like it was like I talked to them because they was there and I was like, okay. And then they started telling me, like, oh, it's so many more jobs here than the Air Force, XYZ. So like it was really convincing me for a second, even though I still wanted to go to the Air Force. I was like, okay. And then I started to like the recruiters. I was like, okay, like we're exercising. Like I was enjoying the conversations. You know what I'm saying? They was
yeah,
just smooth talking me. They was smooth talking me. And
yeah.
then so I was going to choose 25 uniform. I was going to come in, get a $17,000 bonus, and go, and this was on the reserves side because I had scholarships to school, so it wasn't like I didn't know how I was going to pay for school and things like that. Well, I knew I was going to pay for half of my school because I had like half rats or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It was like the day before I enlisted. I was telling them because I had saw another job on there. I wanted to be a 35 papa. I was like, okay, well, if I would like to do this 25 uniform one, but I would really, really like to do the 35 papa. I can't remember what that was or what like
Is it
the
civil
job,
affairs or no?
huh?
That's civil affairs somewhat or something like that, or something different. But I don't know. We have to fact check
Yeah.
it.
It definitely had to do with like I don't know. It probably had to do with like speaking to people or something like that. No, I think it had to do with like a language or something. It was most likely something to do with a language. I was probably
35 signals intelligence voice interceptor. Yeah, cryptologic linguist.
yeah. I think it just had to do with another language. Yeah, because
There you go.
I don't know, but so they told me that they were still like looking for me to see if like I could get into that one because they told me that I couldn't go into that field because I had missed a test already. So then he had told me, or my recruiter at the time, or I guess the recruiter's friend, I don't know how they got things set up over there, but anyway, he told me about 35 Fox and told me like what they do. And he was like, oh yeah, you'll be in air conditioning, the whole time. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, yes, active duty. Like, they'll pay for your housing and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, not realizing exactly what I was getting myself into, still not realizing, like still not connecting the dots. Okay. Like, and then I realized finally when I was at AIT and some people were going home and some people were staying there that I had basically like signed my life away to stay physically with the military forever deal. So I don't
Oh,
know.
the active duty section never hit it only when
Yeah,
people were leaving, and you're like, hold on a second, I got to go back. I got to go somewhere and actually report in now. Like,
yeah,
so where'd you
yeah.
end up going to? Bragg? Because you said
Um,
you were in Fayetteville, or did you go somewhere else first?
my first duty station was actually Korea. I went to Camp Humphreys. So
How was
I
that?
went overseas first.
I guess
This is what
I
I
go
will
somewhere.
say.
I never went to Korea, but I've always heard crazy workload, crazy party load, crazy, but that's the army itself, really, I feel like. But
Work hard, party hard, work hard, party hard. What I will say is I didn't have my clearance right away. So they sent me everywhere other than that. They sent me to the supply room. I went to the mail room. And when I got to the mail room, I got stuck at the mail room and I got really depressed during that time. It was an
Yeah.
absolute mess. But then the reason that I say that is because I did have a lot of fun and I was like, doing the sergeant major challenges. Like I really wanted to, be one of those soldiers that was like super high speed. I was trying my best to get 100 on a PT test and stuff like that. I was training off record and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but then I ended up in a situation with another soldier, a married soldier that I did not know he was married. And it was just a domestic violence situation. It was a lot going on. And so with all of that said, what I will say is that like I just had a lack of emotional intelligence at the time, a lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of understanding of relationships, a lack of just everything.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, getting demoted because of that situation. And then I remember I had a court martial at the time, not for myself. I had actually got assaulted. I had got sexually assaulted when I was in basic. So I had to go to that. It was just a lot going on in career. Like that was probably the worst time of my career.
And all time that, and then you're in the mailroom just thinking about it probably the whole day or
Yeah,
something.
like
In that damn, yeah. That, oh shit. Sorry to hear that. That's a crazy
yeah.
turn of events for real. But obviously yeah, you made it through and beyond all that stuff. So, but definitely crazy to so much. I've talked to a couple, even Lisa. I've talked to other women that have dealt with similar things like sexual assault, or that's a damn shame at any level in any organization. At the end of the day, really, you know what I mean. Even men get it, but like any of that stuff is kind of sad when you're supposed to be all there together, all for the greater good of something, right? And then you kind of get a sour taste in your mouth or something bad like that happens, and then you're just like, what are you supposed to do? You probably felt like you. How did you feel like you were all alone? Did you have any outlet? Did you have any good leadership at the time, like to help you get through all that crazy stuff, or what happened? Like what made you get through?
um so I did have one great leader. I will say that. And actually
Good.
my first sergeant, this is what I'm gonna say. Throughout like my entire career, I've had a lot of just things go south, but I also had pretty good people around me, if that makes sense. I did still slip into, my suicidal thoughts and things like that. However, my first sergeant was kind of lenient on me. I will say that. Like, of course, I had to do what is it called when you're cleaning up and stuff like that. I had to do all of that. I can't remember what they call it.
Extra duty.
Um, Extra duty. Yeah, I had to do
Yeah.
extra duty and all of those other things. But the way that he punished me was a little bit different. I respect him for this. So what he had me doing is he had me reading. One, he literally gave me like books to read and like forced me to read.
Yeah.
And like made me write book reports and things like that. He had me working on my correspondence courses because what he told me was even when you're down, you need to focus on the things that you can control. So I feel like that's what kind of like helped me stay mentally afloat because I had goals to still work towards. Like I remember him telling me he was like, it's either I could kick you out the army right now, or you can stay in and just bounce back from this. He said a lot of people get demoted all the time. And he was just trying his best with me. He had me, like I said, doing my correspondence courses. So I was maxing out like, ahead of my peers. A lot of the time I realized that when people are promoting, that's one of the main things. They don't have their correspondence courses together. They don't have their
Yeah.
residential courses together and things like that. So that's one thing that he instilled into me, telling me to, do the things that you can control. So I feel like that's what kind of helped me. And then outside of that, I did have this one sergeant who, I mean, she wasn't the nicest, but she wasn't the meanest either. She was more so like, I'm not going to help you. You need to help yourself. And I feel like that kind of tough love really helped me out because then I started learning my regulations and, things like that. I joined the boss program. I think it's better opportunities for single soldiers. Like I started volunteering. I started just, doing other things, whatever was in my control. I started doing those things so that, I could stay mentally afloat.
No, that's
So
good that you had some people in your corner. That definitely makes a big difference, and they were trying to get you, on the right track and give you that chance. Because I lost rank too. Hey, it is what it is. They don't make you a bad soldier if you lose rank. It probably meant you did something. You might have just stood up for yourself, and they're just going to use that against you. So you never know what the scenario is, but it is what it is. Like, still got honorable discharge, still doing this, still doing that. So it is what it is. But crazy when you're going through it, I guess, right? And you're doing it all that stuff happening at once. And then you said you were in Korea too. So after all that stuff, like pretty much went over, did you still stay in Korea for a bit? Did you come back to the States? Did you deploy? What happened? And did you ever
um,
even start thinking about getting out the military yet, or were you just thinking you're just gonna stay in? What was your mindset? Hey, I'm getting out pretty soon. Hey, I'm just taking it as a day by day, or what were you thinking?
to be honest, that was probably like the most lost I felt in my life. Like
Yeah, being real.
I I really didn't know how to feel. One, I felt like everybody was against me. Like even my freaking therapist at the time, like because they sent you to behavioral health, mandatory
Yeah,
behavioral health and stuff like that. So I just felt like everybody was against me because it was like nobody helped me. But I also had, I would say, kind of. So the thing is, I don't even know how to put it into words, man. I don't even know. I can't even
yeah,
explain the situation. The stuff was just, I don't know. But yeah, I can't even get into that. I feel like I'm gonna
yeah.
start going into a whole nother place,
Nah,
and I can't
yeah,
even.
you don't have to go wherever you got to go to be good. You good, but yeah, I feel you. I felt like all the tables were turned on me. Like almost 2 out of my 3 duty stations, like they had really, it was like really people out. Like I was like, damn, this is crazy. But I don't know. I guess that just shows you that anything can be penetrated. Everything's just because you're in the military doesn't mean someone's always going to have your back. You know what I mean? Just because you're in the military doesn't mean you're going to get taken care of. Man, they had all types of stuff go off and on in the military. So, are we bashing it? No, the Army was a good stepping stone. I don't regret it. I don't regret doing that. I met good people, meeting greater people every day, and that served and did sacrifice a whole bunch of stuff and did their time too. So, it's great. But, so dark time, you were what got you out of it, and like what the transition look like when you start thinking about actually getting out the military?
Um. So I'm gonna tell you what led me to getting off of active duty specifically. After all of that happened, of course, I went to my next duty station, and they just treated me like it was horrible, and it was mostly
God.
because like of my rank. You know what I mean? I got to see what it was like to be a private at the new unit and things like that. It I don't know. It was just a lot going on, and then I ended up having a couple other like sexual assaults and sexual harassments against me. It was just too much going on. I said I can't do this. I feel like my biggest like I'm just done with this was because after that I went to Fort Riley, Kansas. And, that's one of the top places where people already committed suicide, and then you add on
Damn.
this on top.
Oh, yeah.
They sent us over to Europe. I ended up getting assaulted by this dude, and having to see this dude every day is what made me be like, I gotta go, because I cannot. It was like, I mean, I reported, I can't remember the way that you're supposed to report, but I reported kind of like discreetly, and I mostly did that because of how they were already treating me at this new unit.
Yeah.
Just felt like he was just one of those soldiers that was like their prize soldiers, like infantry, just super high speed dude. And I'm like, I can't stand a chance saying anything bad about this person. Like, even though I had witnesses who saw me get in a taxi with this person, drunk as ever, and the things that like I know that he did, I could not do anything about it. And so that was like my topper, having to see this person every day just walking around as if he didn't do what he did. And so that's what made me just like finally say, I'm not doing this active duty thing anymore. I still wanted to be in the military. I just felt like, okay, maybe I just need to like give myself some time to like heal emotionally and just like, get myself together. Cause I was having breakdowns. Like, I was having breakdowns at work. Like, I was like not going to work some days. I would just sit up in my car, like crying. Like, I just could not, I couldn't go to work. Like, I just could not do it. And so I finally got off of active duty. I decided to go National Guard. At first I was going to do the year off, but then they told me about the bonus, and I was like, okay, I'll go for the bonus thing. It'll be great for my career, because I ended up going to the North Carolina National Guard. Even though I'm like from Illinois and from Chicago, I went to the North Carolina National Guard because I feel like it would just, maybe this will be my new start of like a better foundation for my career and things like that. I was going to Fort Bragg. Then I got out there. They didn't even send me to Fort Bragg. They sent me to Clinton, North Carolina, like the middle of freaking nowhere. I did love my command. I will say that I did love my command, but it was like that's not where I was supposed to go. I did not have a job set up when I got active duty. I did not have houses set up, so everything was just but ended up going to school, and now I'm here and doing what I'm doing. But
So but you skipped over some things we got to go back on real quick because I'm curious to think, like, did you have any that stuff in your met? Like, okay, first of, I guess I got so many different things I asked you. I get the first question is like, how long did you have to sort of stay in that scenario after it happened? Like in that unit, you didn't feel like you had any outlet because you obviously you like they have like a poster child soldier, right? That if you feel like your word's not nothing, so you got to just marinate in that scenario until you sort of left the military, or did you have some type of closure, or did you get some like, or did you just really sort of deal with it like you said and sort of emotionally?
There was no closure. There was no closure for me. Nothing happened to him. He's still
That's fair.
serving. I don't know where he's serving, but he's still serving. What I will say is, because I've had more than one situation, and what I will say is that they always get caught. And I'm sad to like, I'm sad, or I'm apologetic in the sense of like, I wish I would have spoke up sooner, because of course if you don't speak up, then it happens to the next person, and then the next person feel the same way as you, and it happens to the next person.
Right.
And so but what I will say is, in most of the cases in which that happened to me, the dudes got caught. Like, even with the basic training situation, I did not tell anybody about that. They came to me, CID came to me and was like, hey, he did this to XYZ number of other like soldiers. Like, did this happen to you? And then I had to photo ID him and stuff like that. And I told my story. But I wouldn't have told my story if they hadn't done that. And then, like, in another situation, one of my friends, or one of my other battle buddies who was at the same unit as me, she ended up sending me an article about one of the guys going to jail for what he did outside of, the service and stuff like that. He was still serving, but what he had did to a civilian. And so it's like, they all get caught. And so I guess that's my closure. But I do kind of sometimes wish that like I could go back and have tried a little bit harder to like, tell my story, speak my truth, get the justice that I deserve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I guess I probably shouldn't have said closure in the whole scenario because I feel like if that happened, it'd be hard to get some type of closure. But in the I guess in the as far as the unit goes, and you said like no, yeah, it's kind of hard. But I was going to ask you like for someone that might have maybe in that scenario right now, maybe you might stumble across this and you hear about what Treasure went through. Like you guys don't have to go through girls, you don't have to go through the same thing. You can speak up. Is it going to be nerve-wracking or frightening? Maybe because you might think all the odds are stacked against you, but sometimes you got to go and find another person that doesn't know anything what's going on and that you can tell maybe your side to, that's not going to be biased, that maybe there probably is someone that will help you. But Damn, that's crazy. I mean, what would your advice be? Obviously, just what would you do? Just report it and then pretty much not stop until someone helped you. Type or would you?
To be honest, it's probably gonna sound like messed up, but I would say do the safest thing for you. Because even with I can't remember her last name, Vanessa Gideon's situation, I think is what her last name was.
Yeah,
Do the safest thing for you. I was overseas. I'm not no, like no, no, like that just did not sound like the safest thing for me. I guess even within the states, I guess it just depends on the safest thing for you. Like I said, like if you notice even within your chain of command, like, hey, these people are in cahoots with each other because everybody knows each other. Like even the person who does the sharp, like our
yeah.
sharp tips, they know our command. So if it's somebody within your command that did it to you, that's not the safest thing for you. I would say,
Yeah, yeah. You got to go to like IG or something like that, somewhere outside of the
yeah,
entity, outside. But then it's kind of crazy because they never know who's tied into who. That's the crazy. You never know because the IG rep might know somebody, but that's just going down a crazy rabbit hole. But it could all be true. You never know, like how interconnected someone could be. But yeah,
yeah, or even try to reach out to an ombudsman,
there you
or I would just say I will also record, you know, saying what you got to say and things like that, just to like make sure that any, because they say like over time, our memories and stuff like that start to get misconstrued. So record exactly what happened to you and things like that, your own account, things like that. Any
go.
witnesses that you can get. Like I feel like if I would have spoke up in that very last situation, if I would have spoke up, I don't know. I don't know. It was a 50-50 because again, I had witnesses. I had people who said, "Hey, what happened to you?" You know what I'm saying? And so, but that still deterred me. However, it might not deter, somebody else. And so I would say try to see who saw what happened. If there was any recordings, try to gather that information. Still get it on paper. And you can even the thing is, even when you report it, if you don't report it like I can't what is it? Unrestricted versus restricted. If
Restricted,
you
yeah.
put they actually changed the system. I don't know what it's called, but you could write out what happened to you and it'll go in the system as well. So if that person does something again, it'll flag and say, hey, this is what happened in the last situation. You can still do that restricted. So you can still share your story restricted. That's what I mean by like recording what happened to you and things like that. You could go that far now. Like that's what the system from the last thing that I was told, that's what you can do. So I would say that if that's your safest route, then that's your safest route. But if you could go unrestricted and you're comfortable, or try to move units if you can, just try to do whatever you can. I would say look at the regulations, talk to a sharp rep that's outside of the unit, even call a whole nother base and say, hey, this is what's going on with me. Can you guide me? You know what I mean? Whatever is the safest option for you. That's just how I feel. I'm sorry if that's bad advice, but
No,
that's
that's.
the
I
truth
mean,
of it.
speaking from the heart, and you're speaking from experience. So now victims can confide in the chain of command about a sexual assault without being forced to file an unrestricted report. So there you go, just like you said. So what your VA stuff look like before you got out? Like obviously you didn't get 100% overnight. Like what all that look like? I mean, did you have a rating before you got out? Did you get out with nothing? What's your take?
So it's this thing called benefits at discharge, or like BDD program. I don't know what the exact acronym stands for, but excuse me. So I actually went through the USO Pathfinder program, and they basically gave me a checklist of everything I needed to do to transition. Right now, that don't mean that like everything on the checklist is going to get done or everything is going to run smoothly or anything like that. However, when it came to the benefits portion, that definitely helped me out. So they did that. They got me connected with who was I working with? Veterans of Foreign Wars. And they did my disability paperwork. So I got my benefits at discharge. Like literally the day after my active duty ended and I went into the National Guard, I got paid 90%.
Damn,
Um,
good for you. How'd you know? How'd you find out about them? Marketing?
the USO
No,
Pathfinder.
Like, how'd you find out about the Pathfinder? Yeah, the BDD, and how'd you find out about the Pathfinder program?
Um, so like I mentioned before, I had this one sergeant who she was one of those people, you need to figure it out yourself. Don't ask me questions. Figure it out yourself. So I was reading through those regulations. I was trying to figure out how to best navigate the military from that point on, because I'm like, okay, I'm demoted. What can I do now? Okay, I could get out. I could go ROTC route. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff that you could still do to still get ahead and keep progressing in the military. And so I ended up finding them out just from doing my own research. Yeah, really just doing my own research, and I went in and I called around, and then I went in and I asked them, and they were willing to help me. Um then we just kind of like went from there. I started off at 90%, and then I had recently I was living off of that. When I had got off of active duty, like I said, I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything set up, so that was the only thing that was keeping me afloat. Thank God that I had that. Okay, because I don't know what.
Absolutely, absolutely. People, yeah. That I remember. I was so happy when I got the first 30% because I got out with nothing, and I went in increments to my 100. But yeah, absolutely, yeah. So if you had that going, and like you would have got school going at the same time. I was just talking to someone about this before you. It was like, just say you get 1,900 or whatever for being 90%. Then you went to school somewhere, in DC. That's probably going to be a couple thousand a month for BAH. Then you might get the Pell Grant. You might be looking at like $4, $5, $6,000 a month, pretty easily if you have all your stuff lined up. So good for you for having your disability stuff lined up and like doing that due diligence. I did the total opposite. I wish I was reading the regulations and would have found the BDD and Pathfinder program, because no one put my ass on track. No, like, you know what I mean? No one put me on game when I was getting out. It was like, yeah.
Man, it really be like that. What I will say is I did not use my GI Bill though. So there's a bunch of free educational resources. Acnell Education has congregated the majority of them, is what I will say. So we got free Coursera, and that's for service members, veterans, and their spouses. You got, and I think dependents as well. That it's free everything for veterans, especially when it comes to education. No one has to pay for anything. I would say the only time to activate the GI Bill is, yes, if you are short on money and you really need it, or your school isn't taking any other avenue to pay for itself. So the role that I was probably going to go was doing this to finish my bachelor's, and then going to the Illinois Veteran Grant and paying off my master's, and then hopefully I could get a PhD as well, and using the GI Bill most likely for that. And then I guess vocational rehab if I still can't find a job, or still can't, still want education, I guess.
Yeah, or voc rehab. One perk about that is just say you get on the school track, right? Like when you get done with school, they're going to pay you like for 2 months when you look for a job. When you're doing it, you have to actively look for a job, send 5 job searches in every week. You send in that you search for at least 5 jobs, and you get paid another 2 months BAH. That's something people might not even know about. That's a pretty badass perk. Like you could apply for jobs in Cozumel, Australia, wherever you want. Send it in virtually. Like if things are getting a lot more easy, because even the VA's going virtual now on a lot of stuff. Like, we know the VA's light years behind, right, on a lot of stuff, right? They're not at the forefront of everything trying to come through, but like they are catching up and stuff's getting easier to do. But yeah, and also with voc rehab, like you can get all your books paid for. It's different than the GI Bill. They cover all your books directly. And also they can give you a laptop and a printer and also a standing desk, whatever you may need to that offset your disability. So yeah, there's a lot of good perks to it. Then you just use that and then use your GI Bill after, essentially. So yeah. But I guess it's a kind of amazing to me, because they passed that law, I think like 2019 or a couple of years ago, maybe 21, whatever. But it said that, before, if you use your GI Bill, it would go against your voc rehab time. Like you would only have 48 months total or something like that. And then now you can actually use voc rehab and then your GI Bill after, and it doesn't deduct it. So essentially that's saying you can at least get like 7 years of school paid for. Just say you went for Voc rehab for a bachelor's degree. You got that. Then you went for a master's degree. You go into school. You can almost get a doctor's degree if you like fast tracked almost. So it's
Mhm.
yeah. But so what did it look like when you got out the army? You got your 90%. You were all right with that. Did you struggle? Did you have hard time? Did you have trouble adjusting? Were you happy you were gone? Mixture of all. What'd you do?
It was a lot. It was a lot going on. But for starters, this is what I will say. I came out the military with a chip on my shoulder. Okay. After all I went through, I had a big chip on my shoulder. A big chip on my shoulder. Um, and so I remember like I was just so like angry and sad and just I just had so many overwhelming emotions and mostly because I had time to sit and think. I had time to sit and think. I was also living off of my savings too. What I will say is I was supposed to ETS in May,
Yeah,
and so that didn't happen. This was in the middle of the pandemic. This was 2020. That didn't happen. I ended up extending a couple months until September. And during that whole time, my unit didn't put me back into the barracks like they were supposed to do. They didn't treat me like a soldier at all. Like I don't know what was going on with them. But I ended up fighting against that and I got like everything. I got memorandums. Like I told you, I was reading my regs. I got my memorandums. And so they paid me $4,000 on my way out just for that, just for them not paying for my barracks. And so I was able to like live off of my savings and stuff like that. Plus, have the income coming in as well. But that didn't really last me too long, I would say. But I was going through a lot. I ended up joining I was going to the VA version of, I guess, behavioral health now at this point. Um, yeah, I was going to the VA. I'm still going to the VA. Now I'm in a DBT program. I went through the day hospital program at JC Brown. They have a great program there. I would say that. It's outpatient. So inpatient versus outpatient. Thing about inpatient is you go inpatient, they gonna take away your right to own a gun and all kind of stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So I was still going to like get treated and things like that. Like I was telling them, I'm like, I'm just so angry. I'm so angry. I have so much hurt, so much pain. Like I just could not forgive anything that had happened to me. Like I just could not forgive. I could not forgive. I could not. I just couldn't. And so those type of things was kind of affecting me in school as well. Like I would be going super strong. I was dual enrolled. um I ended up graduating with my associate's degree and I was highest honors in that, but I was just doing super bad at Fayetteville State University, which I'm still at that school now, and so it's a mess. But um yeah, like it was affecting my schoolwork. Just the emotions that I was going through was really just getting to me. I started just feeling so less than myself. I had to put my dogs in boarding. Like I would have them in boarding and then I would take them out, and then I put them back in because I just felt unequipped to like take care of anybody. I couldn't even take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? I ain't
Yeah,
the best that I could at the time. I, I don't know. I feel like what made it better was one, me coming home. I mean, that still didn't solve all my problems, but I don't know. I just kept going, and that's what I guess kind of eventually solved most of my problems. The fact that I kept going, but that was my story coming off of active duty. Yeah.
yeah. No, I feel you on that. Thanks for sharing and being so open and putting it out there. I'm sure someone is going to be able to relate and if not appreciate the grind and the hustle that you put, sacrifice that you did, and all the bullshit you really had to go through. Honestly, without sugarcoating it, just to yeah, it's like you just like you go from the military, you getting everything, all your needs are met, right? They're paying you, they're doing this, doing that. Then they try to like extend you, and you're trying to get out, but they're not really taking care of you, but they still, probably going to hold you. They'll hold you accountable, but at the same time, you weren't getting any help that you deserve. So that's crazy, like to deal with that. So you went home to Chicago, and then what did you get started in doing?
Um. So I before I had left North Carolina, I went to my first networking event. It was a virtual event with Vets to Industry. And they was just like helping people get jobs and stuff like that. Like I kept applying to jobs, they kept denying me. So I was feeling real bad. Like I said, I was already
Yeah.
not stable housing, nobody come in. So I already felt bad about myself. And then to keep putting in applications, job applications, and then they deny me. Like when I tell you I was on the edge, like I was finna get up out of here. I'm like, bro, what is there to live for? Like nothing is working. They telling me, oh, this security clearance gonna be the best thing ever. It was not the best thing ever. It was not helping me at all. Um,
Not at that moment, but then obviously you switched the gear on their ass.
yeah. Eventually I got it together on my own. But when I came home, I moved in with my mom. Horrible decision. We didn't even have that great of a relationship before I left. So I don't know what I thought I was doing. But when the thing is when you're serving, people your family is going to love on you a little bit harder because they have something that they could be proud of. You know what I'm saying? And then when you are out, it's kind of like, one, I can't rely on you as a resource for money anymore. I can't rely on you to pay for my bills. Two, it's like, especially when you're going through a depression or you just going through it, then it's like, oh no, this isn't the version of you I had made up in my head, so now I'm seeing something different. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They love you being a soldier, but they don't love what comes with you being a soldier, if that makes sense. And so that's what I was going through. And then I just had a freaking mental breakdown, and I had to leave there. So, I was still on my networking route. That's the industry. Like I said, they put me on to networking in the first place, told me the value of networking, really taught me that you don't have to have a degree. You really just need to know people. And so once I realized I just need to know people, I just went on and started to know people. Like even when I came to Chicago at first, I was networking and stuff like that until I ended up having a mental breakdown, and then I just left there. I left in the middle of the night, went to freaking Indiana. It was the cheapest place that I could go to. I went on Airbnb to like find wherever was the cheapest place to live, and I and I went straight there. I just drove. I picked up my dogs. I just drove straight there. I did not care. And I networked there, and I started like get selling my services as social media management and things like that. I eventually learned about content creation, and then I started doing that as an extra service to say like, hey, like I could record, I could edit the videos. I started doing that, started teaching other people how to do what I was doing for a little bit. Kept networking, kept traveling. I was living in the hotels, like just flying to different places wherever seemed like it was a good place to go.
Where'd
That's
you
where
go
I
to? Where were you? Where were you hitting? Where were you on the road? Where was the map take you to?
I was in Texas. I was in New York City. I was in Atlanta. Like when I tell you I was everywhere, I was everywhere. I was at like a bunch of different veteran events. I was at a bunch of different black targeted events and things like that. I was just trying to figure out like what's out here and what's missing and like what problem can I solve and things like that. And of course I eventually ended up with problem solving through Chicago for Veterans and the Black Entrepreneurs Network. Um and doing marketing in that way, like, and so that's what kind of keeps me going, because I have like a purpose, if that makes sense. Like I didn't have
Absolutely.
the purpose, I didn't have anybody checking for me or anything like that. Of course I still had to go to drill and things like that, and so I was flying back and forth to go to drill as well, and all of that was cutting into my money, cutting into my pockets. So I wasn't, yeah, I was in debt. But I was still living, like, I don't know.
It's all good though. Yeah, you're doing something, doing finding out what you wanted to do and making it happen. It's all good.
Yeah.
So, what like who do you work with now for clients and everything like that? Now that you're up and running and got your own business going.
So I don't have any full time clients right now anymore. I realize no,
Yeah,
especially with working on it on my own. Absolutely not. I'm more so into the subcontracting now, and so the most recent thing, or the most recent contract that I had was doing a conference. So it was a level up conference. It was for formerly incarcerated individuals, helping them get jobs, get into entrepreneurship and things along those lines. So when I pick my clients, I like to work with cause driven businesses or purpose driven businesses. I feel like my my purpose in this life is to help other people live in their purpose. Like I say, even when I was younger, I always loved to connect people. I always loved marketing. I always loved to bring people together. And so being able to help people, like, live in their purpose, being able to help them, do the things that they want to do in this lifetime, it really fulfills me. And so that was the one of the last clients that I worked with. I plan on working with more conferences. I actually just got an inquiry recently to do a conference that's in Los Angeles. I've actually never been to LA.
Nice.
However, I have friends out there. Thank you.
So you got to set up shop out there. You got to go scope the area. Go sit in that traffic at 5 a.m. But it'll probably be worth it.
I was thinking about it. However, so for the Black Entrepreneurs Network, I had never been to, I had been to DC one time before, when I was like 12, or I don't know how old I was in 8th grade, but we had like a DC trip out there. And then I went in February to go see some of my battle buddies, and then to also kind of like scope the scene, what was going on in DC for business owners and entrepreneurs and things like that. And then I ended up, hosting. I went down there for one of my old friends' graduations, and I hosted the Black Veterans Weekend. So we did interviews with Black veteran entrepreneurs. We did what's it called, a happy hour and things like that. So, but to like get that done, I relied on my network. Like I called people ahead of time, was like, hey, what food places are good? What places have veteran discounts and things like that? And then of course I confirmed the information. I couldn't, and I kind of waited, like I did a lot of things kind of last minute, but I feel like I'm gonna do the same for LA. I'm probably not going to go down there on my own beforehand. What I'll do is still, again, rely on my network. Say, hey, like, tell me what food places are good so I could call them ahead of time, start, building relationships out there. I have a pretty good sense of like how I want to help his business activate a marketing campaign out there for this conference. So that's the role in which I'm going, especially with Treasure as a digital marketing agency's future.
So what would you say, since you're in, it pretty much seems like a networking guru, right? What would you say some of the key things of successful networking are?
Well, for starters, treat people how you would want to be treated, of course. But treat people like they're people. When you're doing business, especially nowadays, people aren't doing business with a business. They're doing business with people. That's why UGC creation and influencer marketing is really taking off right now, because we're not the shopping landscape is changing. We're going online to find the things that we want instead of like going in stores. Some people are, some people aren't, whatever.
I hope they do, because I'm selling it online. Come on eBay, find me.
Okay.
Come on and find me. Like, come on and find me.
Trying to have a national or even an international customer base.
Absolutely.
And so with that said, it's like people are looking for reviews. It's the same type of marketing. It's reviews. It's verbal reviews, like versus reading something. You're seeing people do what they say that they're doing, whether if it's an activity, if it's a product, then you see them using the product XYZ. I'm sorry, I almost went on a tangent. But
I knew I couldn't go through the whole call without hearing the police in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm messing with you. But Chirac, that's Chirac though.
Yeah. Right. It's gonna get better out here though.
It's good, yeah. I mean, yeah, hopefully. So now what we gonna, you could go off go down on the tangent. Go ahead. Whatever you're gonna do.
No, I'm not gonna go on a tangent. I almost lost my train of thought for a second. I definitely did lose my train of thought.
No, that's all good. But all right, don't go down the rabbit hole. But yeah. Okay, how about this one real quick? What would be like your little pep talk to like the older you, the younger you, the older you in the military, should I say, or like people that are still in? What would you tell them? What would the game plan to success be?
Oh. And I'll add in networking in there too. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go back to the network. We both got brainwashed like 5 seconds. Like I don't know.
It was the sirens.
All
Like
right,
it
so
was
police
the
officer. That's what I
sirens.
said.
It was
I gotta
like
ask her some dumb shit about the cops, and then we like, what? Well, we don't even know what to talk about. Like, I don't know, but no. Okay, yeah. Back to the networking. So, like you were saying, like the keys to successful networking in your eyes, you know.
so the keys to successful networking, I would say, is one again, like I mentioned before, treating people like they are people. You're doing business with the person, you're not doing business with a business. The
Right.
marketing is changing because the shopping experience is changing. People are going online, they're looking for their products, and they want to see people using the products, or they want to see people doing the activity versus reading about it. So that just goes to show you, and that's why influencer marketing is so popular right now. And they're showing their conversion rates of saying, hey, I can bring in customers by doing XYZ, by showing off your products and showing my face. Is that name, image, and likeness that's really taken off. But the point is, why that is happening is because people are doing business with people and not the business, like not the brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When it comes to like Nike and things like that, yes, that is the brand, but it's the community and the things behind it that are like really bringing people for it. So I always tell people value content and community when it comes to marketing in general, but just really getting to know people, aligning your values with them, or even with the business, aligning your values to the next business. That's important for networking. You really want to just work with people who are going to be good to work with. I guess it just depends on like if you are, or what the reason is that you're networking for. But beyond that, what I will say is to get past the imposter syndrome, because I noticed that's a big thing within networking. To get past imposter syndrome, what I do specifically is I look up people, like I look up the place that I'm trying to go to. I say, okay, here's some social media posts. I look up hashtags, see who posted about it, and then I'll DM them and I'll say, hey, I saw that you went to this, this event last year, or this event whenever they went. um what did you think about it? Like, what did you gain from it? Would you recommend someone else going? Because I was considering going myself. Like, let's connect XYZ. When it comes to especially LinkedIn, you want to send personalized invitations. Even when it comes to Instagram and things like that, you know how you'll follow a bunch of people, or a lot of people will follow you, and then you'll realize like, hey, I've never had a conversation with this person. Like, who is this person? I'm
Yeah,
you
you
know
don't even know who this person is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even
like
even Facebook too. Even Facebook. So yeah, all of them. Like, hold on now, I don't even know who the hell this is. But yeah, you're right.
exactly. So DM people, get to know people, build relationships, because it's not just about like um it's about being equally yoked. You know what I mean? You want relationships versus just numbers. I feel like a lot of people, they network for numbers, and some people network for actual connections. When you have connections with people, you're going to keep yourself on their mind, if that makes sense. So the more and more somebody reacts to you, just like the customer journey, even just for marketing, the customer journey, it's another word for it, but I can't remember it right now. But basically the customer journey, how they're interacting with your product, they have to see it multiple times for them to want it. And it's the same thing when it comes to networking. You got to keep putting yourself out there. The reason that my name comes up in people's mind when they're thinking about projects is because I'm always putting myself out there on social media. I'm always showing, what I did, what I learned, and things like that. I'm always putting people on. So people are always shouting me out. My name's into rooms before I get there, because I connect with people on a different level. I'm not just treating them like, oh, I just want something out of you. I'm not treating it as a transactional thing. I'm treating them like another human being. I want to know your story. Tell me the story behind your business. Why are you doing what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to me working with clients for marketing, I want to work with people who have a reason behind what they're doing. You're telling me, oh, I'm just trying to make some money. Okay,
Yeah,
well, that's enough for me to get up off this call, because what are we talking about? Like, I'm not,
yeah,
no.
yeah. No, you're right.
So, yeah, reach out to people beforehand, reach out to people afterwards. When you get to events, definitely take pictures in front of easily identifiable places. So like if you're going to an event and they have one of those backgrounds, make sure you take a picture in front of that, because it makes it easier to connect with you down the line as well, because now you see, hey, this person went to the event, and you can like clearly see that they were at the event as well, and it just gives you another approach to, be able to speak with them. And also use that veteran card as much as you can. I didn't talk to mayors. I didn't talk to all kind of people just because of being a veteran. I'd be like, "Hey, battle buddy, let's connect." You know what I mean? Or I'll be like,
Oh, yeah.
I'll just bring up the fact you just gotta find whatever, whatever makes you aligned with that person, if that makes sense. So
No,
I would say that's what helps build connections as well. Looking at their profiles and seeing what they like and what you have in common.
okay, yeah, absolutely. I think I couldn't have said it any better. What would you say is one of the most important things that you've like? One of the most important seminars? Did any of them stick out? Or are they all equally yoked? Or did one of them say it was sort of like the aha moment? Or what you think?
All last year, everything that I went to was divine timing. Everything has been divine timing. Everything, even this last week, I went to a government contracting workshop, and then I turned around and I went to the Challenge Her event, which was apparently another government contracting workshop. I don't even know why I signed up for that. You know what I'm saying? I just
Yeah,
saw the name, and I guess I don't know what provoked me to do it, but I'm glad that I did it. If that makes
yeah.
sense.
You signed up,
Uh,
but yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
like things just come, like just like we mentioned earlier, like you mentioned earlier, like when you start putting it out there, things just start coming your way. It's just confirmation. That's what it's been for me. I would say information
True.
wise, yes, that has been helpful, but you can always like reach out to people beforehand. Like you don't have to go to an event just to get the information that you're looking for. So
Yeah, that's true. Hit them up on YouTube. YouTube probably got something on there for you too. You can learn a lot on there. Honestly, there's a lot of people that are experts in their field that are putting themselves out there and can get a lot. Hopefully, we could do that too. We're experts in getting out the military and doing this and not doing that. And you did right. You got your disability before you got out, which is great. You had, but like I always been saying, you might have plan A might go good for a little bit, but then that might just blow up. You might be on plan B or C before you know it. You just got to be prepared to not give up, not give in. It might get hard, it might get tough. You got to just find out your why, right? Like a lot of people say, you got to
yeah,
find out your why. You got to try to
definitely.
do that before you're like trying to find out where your next meal is going to be or something like that, because it's going to be kind of hard to find both at the same time. Maybe it's easy for someone. Maybe someone needs to find their why at that point in life. But for me personally, I know I wasn't thinking about doing a podcast or anything like that when I first got out and was trying to figure out where I was going to work and get a decent paycheck. So,
Yeah,
but
everything worked out, and I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing now.
hey,
So
appreciate that. Appreciate you coming on and sharing and letting everybody know what's up. And, I forgot to say this at the beginning. It's Chicago's favorite veterans, she claims. Yeah. I don't know who voted on that, but I mean, dang.
look, I
Got the,
voted on it.
I
I,
got
I
the,
came I came here call myself that. It was like,
got to,
to be
though.
honest, it was speaking it into existence. Like
Yeah.
what I'm doing here in Chicago. Like I said, I'm taking advantage of those shortfalls that are coming on within the veteran community. Those things that like I'm really being an auxiliary unit to them. Like especially when it comes to the marketing piece or just bringing people together. Like right now I'm working on having pop-up shops at the military schools because I was like they need to start getting really connected to the veteran community. They can start working at our businesses. You know what I mean? We can have a job fair
Absolutely.
for the students. Let's really build community here between veterans and civilians and you know uh people who want to join the military and things like that. So that's why I call myself Chicago favorite veteran because I'm trying to bring Chicago together, make Chicago for veterans.
Hey, that's what's
So
up, though. No, I'm just talking. I'm just talking junk. I'm giving you a hard time, but no, I
yeah,
respect you for that and keep going. I'm trying. I got to get up there one day and see what Chicago's all about. So
yeah,
we'll have to link up and make it happen, or we'll have to do like a. We'll have to. I was telling someone this, like we got to do exactly like stuff like we should be doing like what is it, like a charity basketball game, like Florida versus Chicago. What's going on? My team versus your team.
yeah,
Let's get a tournament going. We get a battle, whatever. No matter. whatever, just that friendly competition like we used to have in the military. You know how it
I was
goes.
just telling somebody else this. It's I forgot his last name. I think his first name was Jason. He has this thing called veteran PCS, right? I was like, we really, because I was telling him about like me trying to be an auxiliary, and I said we really need to like establish like ranks and things like that, even in the veteran community, and really just kind of like make our organizations and stuff like that kind of like a base. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is
For
over here.
real.
This here and this is how we're working together and things like that. Like different units have different purposes, stuff like that. Like I don't know if somebody's working on that. That's what I was kind of trying to do with the whole like Chicago's for veterans and eventually making it cities for veterans and going around to the major cities and doing the same thing like travel guides and things like that. However, we do still need to be working with each other beyond that. It doesn't matter if you know about this business or this organization or this activity. There has to be some type of collaboration happening for it to even matter. You know what I mean? Actionable information. I don't know if that'll happen, but I feel like that would be really cool to have like basketball tournaments and like football tournaments and things like that. Like,
All whatever, just like all types of foundations. There are a lot of people doing awesome stuff out there, so obviously it's possible. And just you just make it and add your twist to it, or add whoever starts it. Anyone can do it. Like you said, you don't even have to have like you already said it. Key like network, like we don't even have to have the money. You never know who you're going to meet. You might meet someone that has all the money in the world that's ready to give you just a sliver, and you say, "Damn." So you got to get creative. Just like even if you're like a investor, you can still make money off other people's money if you could bring them a deal. So network marketing all goes back to that. Successful in life, successful in every realm, right? But what's one benefit that you may have found out about that you think is like a great benefit, like just being a veteran, something that sticks out maybe out of the ordinary? I'm trying to like get people hear what people have come up with, and last couple people, Raphael and Ben, like everyone's got so many resources. So what I want to do is get like a round table or something like that, or like a live call, or like a joint call where everyone gets on. They can like share, I don't know, one or two or whatever they want to do. They can share whatever they want, and people can come and go. But I would probably just be taking notes and listening, and just like try to compile something and build. Like you said, like, yeah, you try to build like a unit. Like you go in the military, you're a unit. You get out, you don't have nothing. But sometimes people feel like they have nothing. Like you're not really embedded into something. But yeah, definitely, there's definitely room for growth. So I mean, yeah.
So what I will say is, I don't know what all they do, but I feel like ETS sponsorship might be a good route. So like when I was first coming out, I had the idea of starting a program where we find the veteran Airbnbs for the people who are traveling between the cities and things like that. And I wanted to help out with marketing, and I wanted to basically save the world. And then I started doubling down and being like, okay, that's not realistic. You can't do all that. But ETS sponsorship, from my understanding, they're doing the same thing in a sense of like when you get out, you get somebody to like show you the ropes of this veteran community. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like when you're going from unit to unit, like what is it called? I think it's called TSP sponsorship, to be honest. I don't know what the acronym is. I can't remember. But yeah, like
Command
should
sponsor, whatever.
yeah, to kind of show you the ropes of, hey, this is what's going on in the city. And hopefully cities for veterans can, be an auxiliary for that as well, making sure that they have all the information that they need within those cities, of everything that's going on, realtors, whoever can help them out in whatever ways. I guess the best benefit for somebody is to really just know what they're trying to do, because then it's easier to find like the programs and things like that that are out there that could help you get to that destination, once you start getting really involved in the veteran community.
Yeah, and don't wait till you ETS to figure out that, because like there's plenty of programs now in the military. You can like do fellowships and internships while you're still in, and pretty much land a job. Like some of my old soldiers even reclassed, and they're working for Boeing or something like that now. So there's so many options out there. You just got to figure out what's out there, and like you said, find out what you think you might want. Maybe you will change your mind, because that's just life. Maybe you're gonna, but at least get into something that you might think about that you want to do. And no, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna, that's what I was gonna tell you. So what they could do is like you're saying it'd be cool to like go close to the military bases and like go to a hotel and sort of put on like an event because you know they're not going to let you come on the military base, right? And to tell all the secrets and the tricks and the trades of getting out the military, you know they're not going to let you do
Of
that.
course not. Of course,
But
but here's the thing. Here's the soft spot. Like even with me pitching to the military schools, this is what I'm telling them. I'm saying, okay, because with the entrepreneur thing, it's three different type of entrepreneurs. You got the people who are still serving, you got the people who are completely out, and then you got the people who are in corporate. So you're looking at a bunch of different type of veterans. I feel like when you start putting veterans into a box is when, or like the possibilities of being a veteran into a box, that's when like it starts to seem like it's going to be competition against staying in. Absolutely not. If I had a choice, if my career had went the way that I expected it to go, I would have still been on active duty right now. I probably still would have had a business, but I would have been on active duty. Why? Because they get you 3 meals a day. Oh my God, I have to work out. Oh my God, you better work out. Like what? It's not that deep. You know what I'm saying? Like if it would have went perfect how it was supposed to go, okay, you get your 3 meals a day, you get a workout. And especially if you a lazy person, then you get, forced workout and
can pay to stay in shape. Yeah, they force. Yeah, yeah, right.
exactly, you get paid. Um, Even if you were to go, the National Guard route and you wanted to go on Mob Cop and go find some active duty contracts and get activated just to do it for some short time and stack up your money, whatever. It's so much that's great about the military. I'm not saying get out, and it could fund you, it could support you while you funding your business. You know what I'm saying? And you go the whole 20-year route, and it's so many things you could do. You could do color guard, you could do, it's so much to do in the military.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And
sure.
so it's never a dig at the military to bring in veterans. I feel like the veteran community is great as well. It's great to be out. I don't know what it's like to be in corporate and building a business and things like that, but I'm sure every side of being a veteran has its perks. But it's also great to be in too if you know how to work that system. Like if you know your regulations, if you know what's going on, if you really getting in tune with the community that's around you, and you're asking questions and you're getting them answered and things like that, and taking advantage of those things, and you have a plan on where you're trying to go, then it's great to stay in the military. It's great. But some people have a different story. I had a different story. I got to get up out of that. Okay. But
Yeah, no, everyone, like you
um
said, everyone's got a different one. Some people might have kids, they
yeah,
might not think it's so great. Some people have single, they might, yeah. So it's definitely not a, it's a good stepping stone, I would say the least. I don't regret it. I think it was great. I learned, met, did, saw so many things, right? Like, so it is what it is.
yeah.
But, but yeah, but I wouldn't be like going around and bashing, but it's like that day's going to come for everybody, no matter if you're the sergeant major, a general, a private, everyone's getting out one day. You're gonna have life after the military. I just think it because like the ACAP stuff, like what did you okay, since you just recently got out not that long ago, what did ACAP look like for you?
They didn't do anything for me. They didn't even give me a retirement briefing. My unit did nothing for me at all. They tried to keep my bonus. It was a mess. So I
Oh, yeah.
the thing is, I already have my my disability, so that's cool. I got all of that together. I still need to get my ID card. I still need to get my life insurance. It's a couple things that I know that I still need to do, but it's some things that I'm like, I forgot what that quote is, but it's this one guy. He goes around like, we have the known knowns, the known unknowns, and all this other stuff, right? So that's kind of the predicament that I'm in. It's like I know what I don't know. Some things I know that I don't know, and then some things I don't know what I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
really trying my best to take advantage of all the opportunities and things that are out there. But with them putting the time limit on some stuff as well, that's hindering to some people. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be hindering to me because again, like I said, there are some things that I don't know that I'm sure I'm missing out on right now because I did not get that briefing. I did not get the services that you're supposed to get. You're supposed to go through SFL TAP or whatever they call it for North Carolina Guard. Um, You're supposed to do those things. I did go through SFL tap when I was on active duty, but that still didn't help me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. What
and
that
so
look
we're,
like? What did you do on active duty SFL tap? What did you do?
oh, I was intel analyst.
No, no, I'm saying when you did the SFL tap, like what they
Oh,
do for you? What they do for you? Like what was your resume class? Hey, sign this piece of paper and be on your way.
um,
Like what was it?
so it took a lot for me to even get to SFL tap in the first place. I had this one sergeant that just the man was racist as I don't know what. But I got to go to SFL tap on my own regard. I did what I had to do to get there. And I remember they tried to like tell us that okay, you have to do a budget. And I was sucking on a budget. I did not know like what to write. Like I wrote what I knew and things like that. They didn't necessarily check it. They were just like, okay, you got some words on the paper. We're just gonna say that you did it. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was for me. They didn't really, it was like they just wanted you to write anything down. They didn't really care if it was going to be beneficial to you or not, or if you had a job set up or anything like that. It was just like a check mark for them to
Yeah,
say,
robot. Like come in, sign the roster. You know, do this, do that. Yeah, absolutely. So you
yeah,
just yeah, it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing great. That's pretty much. So it's
yeah.
a damn shame. That's a damn shame. Really, it's up to us, but you gotta do better. Like, gotta do better. I mean, come on now.
I mean,
So
I learned this from them, and it's more and more resources that's out there to help soldiers with transitioning. So I feel like if you're not getting the resources that you're supposed to be getting with them, then just find somewhere else to get the information. I mean, if you don't know that you don't know to go find something else, then of course I could see that. I don't know. Everybody has their own story of like how it was beneficial or how it wasn't. I just know it wasn't, nothing was beneficial for me. I had
uh,
to get out on my own.
same with
And
me. I didn't do nothing. I went to a couple classes. They signed the paper. Biggest thing they used to, active duty. All they give a damn about, like when you get ready to either PCS or ETS or retire. What's the one thing everyone always says? CIF, CIF. That's all people worry about. And no one's worrying about JOB, after service. No, just CIF, CIF. Got to clear clothing. Got to clear my clothing record. Like,
yeah,
and yeah. So I guess it all depends too. If you got people that are like that's like the beauty and the beast thing of this whole scenario. Like each one of us, we all have our different scenario. We all have our own story of getting out, of serving, of joining, and that's the whole thing. It's pretty much almost different for everybody. Some it's smooth, some it's different. Some might be getting out with the post sergeant major. Some might be getting nothing. Some might be, you know, so hopefully this is helping people, that are out there, maybe struggling, maybe know somebody that's in the military that they could learn from these things, that they're not the only one going through it, and we got to still connect with each other when we get out the service, and have that camaraderie that we always had. And maybe it won't be with the same people that you serve with, but like I've been meeting pretty cool people on LinkedIn, you included, everybody else that's hit me up, and we've connected, and I mean, just hit it off like it's nothing. It's not really awkward. It's not really weird. Just talking about old times in the military and reminiscing, and pretty much see where we're going now. So like, if someone wants to find you, how would they get a hold of you?
so on LinkedIn, my name is actually Treasure O dot
Okay.
instead of Owens. And it's a long story behind that. However, I might change it back to Treasure Owens. I don't know. And then on the other platforms, I'm at Treasure Quest, which I might change to Treasure O. I don't know. Um, Always going to be Chicago for veterans, maybe at cities for veterans. Right now we're at the Black Entrepreneurs Network. It might change to the Black Veterans Network, but one way to get in contact with me, I would say, is just email me. O as an Oscar, Tango, Romeo, Echo, Alpha, Zulu, Uniform, Romeo, Echo at gmail.com. Like, that's probably the best way to just stay in contact with me throughout everything, because I
Yo,
might change
hold
things.
on. It literally cut out when you were spelling your email out. So
Okay.
if you want to say more time though, because you cut off. They didn't want see you trying to put out information. They don't want you to have no one contact you to try to cut you off.
Yeah, it's cool to contact me. I'm willing to help in any ways that I can. If I can't help you directly, then I'm cool with connecting you to someone within my network. If you're watching this right now and you need help transitioning, um, I'm cool to connect you with groups, networking events, anything along those lines. Again, if I can't help, somebody else can, or check out Veterati, or just look up veteran in general, find the groups that everybody's in. But as for me, my Gmail is at Oscar Tango, Romeo, Echo, Alpha, Zulu, Uniform, Romeo, Echo at gmail.com. And that's
There you
where to
go.
find me.
All right. Well, hey, you were clear on that one. They're trying to hate on you, but hey, I appreciate you coming on and sharing. I look forward to keeping the communication open with you. Share our resources. We can hop back on here whenever you want. If you want to do another episode, where you're going and whatever you want, and you got anyone that you can bring my way or send as a challenge, let me know.
For sure.
Always happy to have them on, and I just appreciate you sharing, and glad that you're still here and you made it through all that stuff, and you're doing what you're doing for veterans as well. So appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank
You
you. Thanks for
no
having
problem.
me.
You want to close it out with anything? Or are you good?
Um, my three biggest things, my three major pieces of advice. Use the military as a networking opportunity. If you're still in, use the military as a network opportunity. You could get in a bunch of different conferences that are out there for free just because you're serving, actively serving at this time. And when I say actively, I mean the National Guard and the reserves as well. Use your network, use the veteran community, reach out to people, say, hey, I'm a veteran before anything, because you got to make that groundwork of like, why are you important to me right now? Why am I having this conversation with you? Some people are like that. So just put that first out the door. Second thing I will say is learn your regulations. Learn your regulations and read your contracts. Read them thoroughly. Read them thoroughly. Look up on Google, look up on TikTok, wherever the information is to tell you how to progress within your career. Check that out. It's a couple different training websites that are out there. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but if you reach out to me, I will send them to you. It'll show you everything that you should be doing to get ahead in your career. And I'm not just talking about now education. I'm talking about there are other websites out there as well. Can't remember them right now. The third thing that I will say to progress in your career, whether that be in the military or outside the military, just really get involved in the veteran community. I know I said networking in the beginning, but I was mostly talking about like, with corporations and things like that so that you could set yourself up for success when you're getting out in terms of a job and things like that.
Yeah,
Get involved with your veteran community, listen to these podcasts, hear everybody's stories so that you could know what they did wrong and you could do the total opposite, okay? Or just see the different
for
routes in which
real. Like seriously,
okay, do a comparison. Plan A, plan B, plan C, however you got to do it. See the different routes in which you can go and just keep your head on. Keep your head on. Get into behavioral health, get into inflac, whatever you got to do to keep your mental together. Do what's
for
in your
real.
control. And that's it.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Shy City. Hey,
Hey.
nah, hey, appreciate that. Appreciate you and everyone listening in. Hopefully you guys gain some knowledge and some wisdom from this podcast. And if you, like we said earlier, if you got anyone, send them our way. We'd be happy to help you. But until next time, you guys have a blessed one. Keep grinding and don't give up. Talk to you next time.